The people cheer as another D-Day draws to a close. The sky lights up with fireworks, showering us in colors of violet, green, and blue. The very trees themselves seem to glow in the light. I smile fondly at the party below, at my people. It wasn't so long ago that we were strangers to this world, but now we have made it our own. Children are born and raised in this paradise, this Eden. Even now, the name never fails to bring a smile to my face. Truly, we were lucky to find this place. After our kind ravaged and stripped our world bare of what once made it so lush and beautiful, we took what remained and ventured out into the stars, searching for a new home, and we found it. But not without paying the price. As the great arcs took to the skies and ventured beyond the clouds into the stars, we could hear the cries of those we left behind. And so began our search. And search we did. For years. For decades. Until by some miraculous twist of fate, we found our new home, our Eden. It was a planet much like our own before the fall, lush and beautiful, a world with wide flat plains, great forests, and wild jungles, a world in its infancy, untouched by any form of civilization. Imagine our joy at our discovery. The following months were spent with us stripping down our ships and using their materials to build ourselves a new city. But this city wouldn't be like the ones of old. We vowed to never again make the mistakes that cost us so very much. There would be no cutting through nature and filling the empty spaces with cold steel. We would move with nature, live with it, become one with it. Our new city was one of unparalleled beauty. Its buildings twisted and coiled around the trunks of colossal trees. Their power came from the very elements themselves, from the sun high above us, to the water running beneath our feet. And it was good. A beautiful city in a wild garden. We had learned from our mistakes, and never again would they be repeated. This was my hope. I was a young man when the arks first left Earth. I was there during the fall. I watched as children with swollen bellies cried to their mothers that they were hungry. I watched as men and women fought for mouthfuls of water for crumbs of food. I watched as those in power clung on to whatever semblance of power remained for them to hold on to, and I watched them lie to the masses, even as the world fell apart around them. That was a life as I knew it before Eden. Now, I am an old man. I've taken the seed of man far from its home and planted it here in this paradise. I nurtured, watched it grow back into something strong and beautiful, proud and confident in leaving behind a legacy of purity and growth. But there is something within that seed that I simply cannot weed out. Something rotten. And that rot has spread through the hearts and minds of many men and women in power. Greed. I had a seat on the council for years. Together, I and mine worked to build an enlightened society, and we succeeded. But as my friends and I grew old and frail, we knew our time was coming to an end. And so it was we passed the mantle down to a younger generation. One we had hoped learned the lessons that were so painfully ingrained in us all. But as they ascended, we watched as they slowly began to strip away all we had worked so hard to achieve. In these young men and women, I saw the rot of greed take hold of their hearts and spread throughout our great society. They spoke of great machines and untold comforts and luxuries, and the people cheered. What they didn't mention was what it would cost. They did not speak of cutting down the trees of our forests, or tearing up our land of our beautiful plains. I stood before the council I had once curated and begged them to reconsider. They listened in silence, out of respect or pity. But I could not sway them. Now, here I stand, watching my people celebrate, taking in the last moments of this world's innocence. But even now, my heart sinks as I recognize the familiar scent of oil and gas on the wind.